Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Return of the Mark podcast with yours truly, technically Rudo, or Russell, or whatever you want to call me. This week, first week, we're covering this week in AEW. I'm really excited to do this because I love talking about wrestling and I don't want to keep bothering my friends about talking about wrestling, so I figured, if I just record my thoughts as I'm watching, and then I can just kind of shoot this out into the ether of the internet, and that way, I can only bother the people who could possibly care, about listening to some dude talk about wrestling for way too long. Uh, so here we go. As I watched everything this week, except for half of Dark. We'll get into that a little bit in a second. But we'll do a quick overview of both of those. So with Dark Elevation was filmed before the Pittsburgh crowd, I believe. And we start with Julia Hart versus Abby Jane. Julia Hart's storyline in AEW is one of my favorites right now. There's something about AEW storylines that really get exciting over the course of like 6 months. Like, my favorite storyline up until Revolution, when it actually happened, was Wardlow slowly deciding he wanted to turn on MJF. And I've really been loving the Julia Hart storyline of her slowly getting corrupted by the black mist that Malachi Black spat in her face, like, gosh, it feels like 4 months ago. But anyway, this is her facing Abby Jane. Julia Hart is still not the greatest wrestler, but I think she's been getting she has the potential to get good, I think everybody kind of does, but she has these great just enjoying hurting people mannerisms. So like where like, she'll choke Abby in the corner and then just kind of smile at the camera real quick. And it's really good. They did this split-legged bulldog as the finish. It looked really weird. But yeah, that was the finish. That's kind of it. Next, we had Goldie versus Anthony Ogogo. Ogogo has cool music, and I wasn't watching during the Rhodes feud, so I'm not all that familiar with him. I guess I should talk, is the name of this podcast, Return of the Mark, comes from the fact that I've been watching wrestling for basically almost my whole life. For like over 20 years, I've been a wrestling fan, but I had an immense fallout with it. I already kind of lost interest prior to the pandemic, but then once it got to the point of like empty arena shows and stuff during the pandemic, that was the thing that like really made me kind of drop off of watching it. Kind of sort of recently, like I went with my friend to watch one of the AEW pay-per-views at their house, and that sort of made me go back into it full force. And I'm watching AEW weekly, and I'm trying to get more into independent wrestling again. And I want to branch back into watching Mexican wrestling again. But it's all about, just getting it done. So, yeah, that's my thing. Is I wasn't watching when Ogogo had their feud with Cody Rhodes. So, I'm not sure what they can do. What I can tell you from my perspective now is that the I'm from a country and I'm a jerk is a really terrible gimmick. I always hate it. It's like, oh, I'm a British man and fuck you. That's all right, you know. I'm from Brazil and fuck you. All right, cool. Who cares? Anyway, the finish of this match is Anthony Ogogo untapes his hand and then does this like pop up punch, and Goldie just gets knocked the fuck out, and it rules. So I definitely recommend watching this match, even just for that. The match was like 2 minutes long. It's on YouTube. You can check it out. I recommend it. Next, we had Konosuke Takashita versus Rhett Titus. And man, Rhett Titus, like a month ago, was Ring of Honor TV champion. And now he makes his AEW debut with a jobber entrance. And it really makes you feel It really makes you think of like the people who, when Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor, you can really tell who he like cared about picking up when he bought it. I hope Rhett has a future in the new Ring of Honor, whatever that turns into. But yeah, it's really too bad they took the title off of him to give to Minoru Suzuki so that they would have somebody that people cared about when the title was given to Joe. And it's too bad. One thing that is great is the Code of Honor is recognized before and after this match. Both men shake hands. You love to see it. You love to see it. At some point, Titus locks Takeshita in a double hammer lock that he turns into a back suplex, and commentators Paul White and Mark Henry don't know what it is. Which is like kind of a funny thing, is I bet Excalibur would have a name for it, but he's not on this show. And, hopefully that dude was enjoying a break. He works really hard at his job. Rhett goes 6 feet in the air with a German suplex before eating a jumping knee to get pinned in like 4 minutes. And yeah, that's kind of all going on here. Cheeseburger makes his AEW debut versus Tony Nese. Tony Nese's theme plays, and it's kind of awful. I sort of hate Tony Nese's theme. Going Premier Athlete over and over again is not the most captivating thing, but they're building Nese up. Hopefully he gets something better as he climbs up the ranks in the card and everything. I do love the pairing of Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling, especially. And this is probably my oddest thought about this, but I especially am excited to either see Tony interact with Jade Cargill or have Jade Cargill just dump Smart Mark Sterling entirely, which is kind of paradoxical, I know, but I'm excited. I love Jade Cargill. I'm excited for whatever direction he goes in. I was excited to see the crowd really excited for Cheeseburger, which is great. Cheeseburger is very over, and that's, really good. At some point, Paul and Mark commiserate over their love of food.
Don't celebrate, Cheeseburger. Get the business done. It's time to cook the fries. Let's go.
Oh, this is some kind of cheeseburger hole.
Like, man, that guy hasn't eaten a carb in like 6 years, and then they go and then they start talking about how hungry they are. It's big man love. I love it. There's some great parts in this match where Tony Nese and Cheeseburger are both very, very good wrestlers. At one point, Nese hits like a fireman's carry rib breaker thing. Cheeseburger kicks out, but then Nese immediately locks him in a leg scissors. Like, it's like a swift motion of Cheese lifting his shoulders up and then Nese locking it in. And then at some point, Cheeseburger does a bunch of damage to Nese's arm. And then Nese tries to go for an Irish whip and can't, go all the way through with it. And I think that's really great. Nese is... I like him. I think he's a great wrestler. He's just weirdly, not exciting. But this match was really good still. I definitely recommend checking it out. Next, we had Gia Scott versus Willow Nightingale. If Willow isn't signed at this point, I'm not sure what Tony is thinking, or she's still going to be on Ring of Honor whenever that comes back or whatever. Look for some more bizarre commentary. We get this exchange.
Gia Scott. Gia Scott, she looks familiar, Mark.
What the fuck does that mean, Paul? Yeah, this is just like a real quick, I think almost like a feeler for Willow. She's really over with the AEW crowd, and I think they're probably, like I said, if she's not currently signed and it's just not public knowledge, or if they do have plans for her in whatever the Ring of Honor reboot ends up being, this probably was just like a quick feeling out thing, because the crowd loved to see her. Next, we get Max Caster versus Zach Clayton. Zach actually gets an entrance, which is good for him. His music is weird, though, for a guy with a I used to be on Jersey Shore gimmick, but I'm not that familiar with him, to be honest, so if he's a metalhead, I truly don't know. The Acclaimed are two of my favorites in AEW. I listened to their rap, at least twice. With once when I'm watching the show normal, and then once the show's over, I go I gotta go back and listen to what Max Caster said again, because it always cuts and is hilarious. And tonight, Max Caster's coat is fucking crazy. His fit is just insane. But the Jersey Shore guy, I shouldn't even call him that. Zach Clayton is pretty good. I understand like he's really just starting to get into the business, and I hope he, succeeds. Like I hope to see him in the future, like working on stuff, because I think he's a really great wrestler for someone who's so early into their career. Max's rap is like all right this week though, because I imagine facing someone like Zach Clayton, you can't really get a line like you'll be crapping your pants just like a Z-Pack on a guy with like no history in the business. So like he probably doesn't have too much material to work with. We get this bizarre exchange between Paul and Mark.
They don't lack personality or charisma.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, it's a big word for me, charisma.
But Max hits the mic drop for the 3 in about a minute and a half. This is definitely like a match that was put on the show because the Acclaimed are super popular with the fans and they want to keep using Zach Clayton. So, which is like kind of the point of Elevation, right? That's just the dark matches before the show to give the people who they want to see and get them excited for the main show. When you don't have anything for the people who they want to see on the main show. Which, hey, there's always going to be space for stuff like that. Next, we had Anna Jay and Chris Statlander teaming up against Nyla Rose and Emi Sakura. This is also a get people on the show match, but I really like everybody involved in this match. Everybody's really good. I really love like everybody in this match, so it was exciting to see still. Basic like kind of tag team build up to the hot tag stuff, but it was really cool. I really liked the finish where Nyla Rose starts to get into the Queen Slayer, but she throws herself out of the ring. Like just literally just like it starts to get locked in, and Nyla like just like almost like overbalances herself and just like falls out of the ring like on purpose. I really liked it because it was like, all right, I know I won't get out of it, but I'll at least make it illegal so that they can't win with it, Good move. That's great. Stat hits the Night Fever on Emi for the win, which is cool. The Dark Orders, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, Alex Silver. Wait, holy fuck. Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver, Alex Reynolds, Alan Angels, and 10 versus Anthony Bennett, Corey Mishaw, Mike Law, Jaden Vallow, Eli Isom, and Brett Waters. There's some really good local wrestling school attires in this job squad, but some of these guys have been around for a while. I was like looking them up and it's like, oh, this dude was in CZW before that disappeared from the planet, But it was just another like Dark Order hits their greatest hits and then makes the crowd happy with some Dark Orderness, get it on the show. The rumor at the time of writing this, which I did this, I watched each show and wrote these notes, and I made note of the fact that as of writing, Stu Grayson is done with AEW. His contract is expired and he has not re-signed. And he was taken off the roster page. And actually today, as of recording, Stu Grayson confirmed on Twitter he is done with AEW. He's a mega talented dude, so if he really is done, I hope he gets to do something that makes him happy. That's, what life is all about. So I hope, good luck, Stu. from this fucking nobody. Have a great, I'm excited to see wherever you go. All right, and that was Dark Elevation. It was a good show. Match of the show, without a doubt, was the Cheeseburger versus Anthony Nese. Or Tony Nese, what the fuck? But if you're gonna look out anywhere for any match from this episode of Elevation, check out Cheeseburger versus Tony Nese. That was definitely the best one. Lots of great, um, hold counter hold stuff, which is my favorite shit. Um, yeah. And next we have AEW Dark from May 3rd from Orlando. I really like the indie scale vibes of this place. I don't know why people are so down on independent wrestling. To me, it's like being against music that isn't on the radio. Like if you go up to like someone who is like a music fan, you're like, "Oh, I'm a music fan. Oh, I'm a music fan too. Have you heard the new like I don't know Frank Black album?" That's like the first name that came to my head for some reason. Have you heard the new Frank Black album? And it's like, oh, they don't play that on the pop station, so why, who cares? It's like minor league music. And it's like, no, this you there's like there's different music than what plays on the radio. There's different movies than what Marvel releases, and Disney in general for that matter. And there's different wrestling than what's on like in a giant arena. Whether that be AEW, New Japan, or WWE, or I guess CMLL for that matter. But yeah, it's like just enjoy wrestling. It's not about the size of the building it's in. It's about like the story of the match, and I think you can kind of hit a different particular vibe with wrestling that takes place in a smaller building. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't get to catch all of Dark. I know we're coming out of the front door of this podcast already fucking up the format, but I am going to cover everything I did get to watch from this thing. I ran out of time, okay? I wasn't able to take notes on things that night. You don't need to listen to my excuses. But first match, Ryan Nemeth versus John Silver. Nemeth coming out with SoCal legend Pretty Peter Avalon. Silver with Reynolds, Engels, and -1. Right away, Taz gets called out for watching baseball while calling, which I think is, that's legend shit from Taz.
I just looked over at your side of the desk, and you have the MLB network going on your phone, so I can see it right there.
And I have that bobblehead of Lindor. That's a whole little story.
I love Taz. He's great. Silver, like right in the beginning, throws a long Beal. Silver is strong as fuck. Like I know he like literally like that's his whole gimmick. He's like, I'm the meat man. But yo, if I think like in terms of just like the size differential and considering like the size difference between John Silver and Ryan Nemeth and the size difference between like Keith Lee and Isaiah Cassidy, like I think this Beal was more impressive than the Keith Lee Isaiah Cassidy Beal. This is just like a really like basic story match. Nemeth works him over a little bit, then Silver comes back with a real strong set of moves. Taz tells this hilarious story about running into a hockey player.
I was recently on a flight with John Silver, both sitting first class, like big shots, a couple of boys up there. And who's sitting, this is a true story, in the aisle right in front of Silver is Mark Messier, the great Mark Messier. You remember Mark Messier? I turn back around, look at Hook, I go, dude, that's Mark Messier. He goes, no, it's not. I go, yeah, I'm telling you. Hook don't care. He goes back to sleep. And then we land, and wait.
So you woke Hook up to tell him Mark Messier
He
was
popped,
sitting
he
in front
popped. He thought it was cool that it was Mark Messier. And then I look at John Silver. I said, dude, you follow hockey? Silver looked at me. Silver looked up at me. He said, no.
And it's good shit. Tony Schiavone backstage with Tony Storm, who talks about teaming with Soho against Britt Baker and Hayter on Ram ahead of the Owen Hart tournament. Tony says she has friends and they're gonna win. Good shit. Next we get the Varsity Blondes versus the Workhorsemen. Julia Hart's sitting on the steps still. And like I said, one of my favorite storylines going on in AEW. But the biggest thing, I feel like I was getting Mandela'd because I always thought Blonde had an E in it. So either I'm wrong or AEW's wrong, and I want to know who is it. But this match was cool. Just some basic like match. The Varsity Blondes can go out and do their thing, and the Workhorsemen look good, and it's really good. Some voluminous strikes from Anthony Henry onto Brian Pillman Jr. And I think that's my favorite shit in wrestling. If you smack a dude in the chest and it's really loud, like, that's my favorite thing. You're my favorite wrestler. But, there's some great double team offense. At one point, Henry reverses a move, but Pillman didn't seem to know what to do, so he just hung out in the corner, and that was really weird. But the Varsity Blondes pin Anthony Henry after some cool looking moves. Tony Schiavone comes out to interview the group, and Pillman is shocked by Julia's dark side. He calls out his own call out, I guess, of the House of Black, and claims like a weird level of ownership over Julia Hart. It's a really, really weird promo. Next, we have the match graphic of Lord Crew versus Shawn Spears. And that's where I tapped out of dark. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I promise I'll do better in the next episode. But that leads us perfectly into AEW Dynamite. My first thought of this episode of Dynamite is that Miro is still in the intro, and I very much miss that man. We open the show with JR hitting on Tony Schiavone. Hold on. How the fuck do you say Tony Schiavone? Give me a moment. Tony Schiavone. I feel like I'm going insane. We get Adam Cole on commentary for this match. The AEW crowd loves Adam Cole, and I'm pretty into that. Cole's a talented dude. He's not my favorite wrestler, but he is really good. I cannot deny the man's talent. He goes over to the commentary booth and doesn't shake Tony's hand, which is a real jerk move. But we have a Owen Hart qualifying match, which gives us Jeff Hardy versus Bobby Fish. Excalibur sets Cole up to put Bobby Fish over, and Cole just doesn't do it. It's really weird. At the start of this match, Jeff looks like really unsure of himself. It's kind of bizarre. And you can kind of see it kind of pay off in the match. Like, it sort of seems like Jeff gets gassed like almost immediately. It seems like he just hurts, which, man, I hope they either find something for him to do where he doesn't have to do so much physical stuff. Like, they kind of already ruined that by having him do, the balcony dive and the ladder swanton, like, in his first couple of weeks. But he just seemed so unsure of himself this whole match, and even like beforehand, like he just looked worried. Like, but it's like it's still a good match. Like, Jeff and Bobby are kind of old. I really love Bobby Fish, and he is a very like smart wrestler, and I love the way he and Kyle O'Reilly especially are able to sequence move like very seamlessly, like sew them together. At one point, Fish hits an avalanche Falcon Arrow for a 2 count, but Jeff kicks out and is immediately like just right away, like where Bobby just already had the legs, so he just locks him in a knee bar, and it just fucking rules. Jeff does the swanton and manages to hit it for the 3. And again, like he lays into the dudes he's been hitting the swanton on. I haven't watched him wrestle in WWE really since before the last Hardy's run in WWE. But yeah, the dudes, they got to get him to stop doing the swanton. Like, they got to find something else for him to do. He's got to retire that move. Like, it just isn't, it's not in his wheelhouse anymore, you know? After the match, while Kyle O'Reilly is checking in on Bobby Fish, the Young Bucks walk out. and they face down the Hardys, but the crowd doesn't seem terribly interested. Like there's like no buzz for this, um, which is a total shame. Like I feel like with a properly, especially like they could properly structure it where the sort of weaknesses now of the Hardys can be like overlooked. That could be like a great match. They had a great match right before the return to WWE last time when they like re-debuted at WrestleMania. But I don't know. That was like 5 years ago, and hopefully they can come out the other side of it. But the Young Bucks join in on checking on Fish with Kyle, so it seems like they are through the doubting each other gimmick. We get an amazing Blackpool Combat Club promo package. This was put on the internet and it fucking ruled. Or like a longer version was put on the internet. It makes it look like they just hang out and stretch Wheeler Yuta all day, Stu Hart style. Commentary talks about how Yuta is going to be in the Best of the Super Junior tournament, and I hope Danielson and Moxley get to go with him so that they could do tag team matches on the B show. But it's the Blackpool Combat Club versus Butcher Blade and Angelico. Wheeler Yuta has cool new gear since joining up. Since this match is gonna be mostly gushing about the Blackpool Combat Club, I am gonna gush about Butcher real quick. Butcher fucking rules. He is someone I wasn't even aware of. Like I think he started wrestling and kind of went through the indies before I knew who he was. I mean, I guess that's true for every wrestler ever, but I definitely wasn't watching the shows that he was on before. And I thought he had a cool look. Like I love just like the completely rugged, like balding but with long hair, but with like a huge beard, and just like a guy who looks like just covered in tattoos and he's all swollen up. And he looks like he will rip you apart. And god damn it, he really followed through. A few weeks ago match with Darby Allin, and that match just was fucking great. I love the Butcher. Him just throwing Darby around made me really love him. So now I'm a Butcher mark. So that's that. I love when Regal calls Excalibur just the man in the mask and they flirt for a minute. That's really great. So the Andrade family offices. I don't know if Angelico is part of the Andrade family office officially, but they start off with a schmoz, and Regal loves that his team is getting beat up to start the match. Everybody kind of gets their own time to get their shit in before Yuta gets tagged in, and Yuta does his sweet like the joint manipulation where he just like pulls back on the fingers until he's able to like stomp on Blade's bicep. I love that bit. But then Butcher tags in and starts beating up Yuta. So that's, basically my dream match right there. Yuta gets teamed up on in the corner, and Angelico does a bunch of sick holds, and Mox is like pacing on the apron. He looks like a fucking like tiger that just like someone left a steak on the other side of the bars. He's just like ready to go in and just like tear it up. And he does. Like everybody goes in. They all do their great breakdown where like they're hitting elbows and Danielson is kicking Angelico's fucking head in, and Angelico taps when Danielson locks in the triangle sleeper. And it's great. Like these matches are so simple where just, the Blackpool Combat Club comes in and just behaves very violently. Yuta hot tags Mox or Danielson in, usually Mox. But like I just love it. They're just like presented so well, just like as a unit that just loves violence. And, loving violence, isn't that just what all of this is really all about? We're backstage as Tony interviews Starks and Hobbs. Jurassic Express come in and let them know that they like the idea of defending the tag belts. Jungle Boy says that they like the idea of defending the tag belts against Starks and Hobbs, but Jungle Boy wants a shot at the FTW title first, which Ricky accepts, which I'm excited for that match. That shit'll be cool. Tony's then with Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Swerve doesn't like that Starks and Hobbs are going for the tag titles when they have unfinished business with Starks and Hobbs. Lee says, "You will swerve in our glory," which is a very cool thing to say. Up next, we have the segment of Wardlow versus the mystery opponent. Wardlow is brought out to no music, in handcuffs, and with heavy security. The crowd really likes Wardlow, and so do I. This motherfucker is handsome. He just is goddamn pretty. It is sort of unbelievable. And this was my favorite angle from when I started watching again after, I think, Full Gear was when I got into watching like weekly. Basically like from Full Gear to Revolution, it just teasing Wardlow being unhappy with his contractual issues with the Pinnacle and MJF specifically. I've been really loving the direction they've gone, where just like Wardlow is he's been an unstoppable beast from the word go, and I think he's gonna be like a huge star once they really get, things going for him. MJF comes out to major heat and shit talks the crowd like only MJF can. He says he's going to watch the match in the back because he doesn't want to look at the crowd, which is a fantastic thing to say. But then he introduces his mystery opponent, Will Morrissey. Now, I'm not familiar with W. Morrissey's work since he left WWE, but I understand he's gotten a lot better, and B, gotten over some immense personal issues. And I want to say, like, for real, good for him. Like, that's, it's one thing to be a good wrestler, but to like take the difficult steps to keep your life in order, that's real shit. So good for Morrissey. So commentary says that Morrissey is Wardlow's physically largest opponent ever, and that's like a really bizarrely interesting statistic. Wardlow looks prepared but very cautious, and we have some good, nice, like, two big guys, two meaty men slapping meat, if you will, spots. Like, they tie up but no one gets the advantage. Then they go outside and start brawling in the back. There's a dueling "we want Enzo, no we don't" chant, and Morrissey shuts them up, which is very good move by Morrissey, because no, we do not want Enzo. That is, we do not want him. That is fine. Wardlow hits a moonsault, which is fucking awesome. He puts Morrissey away with one power bomb, which is cool, because, like, it's cool for, like, storyline purposes, or not storyline, but like beating up jobbers purposes, that he does 8 power bombs in a row. But when you get like the real contenders, it's probably important to show that he can finish them in one. That's probably a good move. So like it'll be a bigger deal if MJF kicks out of one power bomb whenever they have their match. That'll look better for him when then he, all right, well then I'll hit 8 more, it'll be cool. Wardlow then starts to get handcuffed, but instead just fights off the entire security staff of the entire building. More security comes in, but Wardlow just fucks them all right off, and the crowd just love it. And honestly, like, it rules. There's something legitimately captivating about Wardlow. Like, even when he's doing something like, it's not it's not the greatest like wrestling match type of thing, but just seeing him like take on these like local wrestlers in security t-shirts, like, and just like razors edging them one into a big group of them outside the ring, and it just fucking rules. At one point, JR calls him a bad mother. Well, you know, and I can't tell if he just forgot that he's not allowed to say motherfucker on TV, or if he was like just he decided to call him that at some point. MJF comes back out and gets Wardlow's gonna kill you chance, and I love it. Like, just it's so great how behind Wardlow the crowd is. MJF says he'll put Wardlow's contract on the line in the match, but there are conditions that he'll reveal in a contract signing segment in Long Island, the only place where people like MJF, which I think is a great move. Like that, yeah, the crowd here loves you, but we're gonna go, you know what, fucker? We're going to the only place that people love me. Then we'll see how much you like the contract that I'm gonna put us through. And that's great. Like, MJF is just great. Tony Schiavone with Tony Storm, Ruby Soho, Jamie Hayter, and Britt Baker. They talk about the tag match on Rampage. This will be the first time a women's match has opened on an AEW show, I guess. They don't like each other real bad and are excited to fight. And that's kind of the only thing that I'm kind of getting out of the storyline. Like, I know they're kind of playing on indie feuds that Hayter and Storm had specifically before they were both in AEW, but you know, I don't, this seems like it's just like to have the Owen Hart people in the ring before they have the actual tournament, because it's been a really long time that they've been setting up specifically the women's tournament. Tony Schiavone introduces Hangman Page in the ring. Tony's really running all over the place tonight. They talk about how Page is going to face Punk at Double or Nothing. Page is real over with the cowboy shit chants. Tony asks how he feels about the challenge. Page talks about how he could sing the praises of Punk, but he won't. He says, there won't be a handshake or a masturbatory Bret Hart tribute to the oof of the crowd. He's gonna destroy CM Punk, so the crowd chants for him. He says Punk isn't here, but he promises to embarrass Punk, promises the fight of your life. I figured one of them would have to lean heel in order to get some heat for this match, but I'm surprised that it was Page. But really, both of them are so over that I could kind of see just like an alternate history where they have Punk lean heel, and I would be like, man, it's weird that they had Punk turn heel for this match. Either way, like, I think the match is going to be really good, and I'm excited to see it. But there's not a whole lot going on. Like, it doesn't seem like there's really any reason for them to fight other than Punk is just high rated enough that he can challenge for the title, which sometimes that's all you need, but it seems like they're trying to go with more for that. But like nothing's really happened between them yet other than Punk saying, you know, hey, you're the champion, I want your title. So hopefully, you know, they get that one, they get that angle off the ground a little bit higher in the coming weeks. Next we have a ad for Takeshita getting hyped for Rampage, which is rad. We cut to Lethal, Sanjay, and Satnam. Backstage, they're mad that Takeshita's hyped, and they're not. So Lethal challenges him to the match on Rampage, which will, hopefully, in my notes, I haven't seen the match yet. So for more suspense, I wrote hopefully good. But yeah. Next, we have the Grudge match. Santana versus Chris Jericho. I truly love the parody for over 50 years, or for over 8 weeks, thing at the beginning of the Jericho Appreciation Society entrance. Chris Jericho has a new nickname already because the influencer did not get over, I guess, which makes sense because it's a really dumb nickname. But he now is called the Wizard. Commentary quotes the lyrics to The Wizard by Black Sabbath, so it's a reference to that. And that's a great song. It's a way better nickname, and it's actually something that Chris Jericho didn't hear for the first time that morning um, when he christened himself that on Rampage. Like, it sounds like something he actually knew about beforehand, but even that is only a guess. Santana immediately comes out of the gate just with a tope suicida, which is awesome. Starts beating up Jericho, and Ortiz holds back the rest of the Jericho Appreciation Society, which is cool. They do some brawling on the outside, and for like a few minutes before the match actually properly starts when they both go in the ring. Unrelated, but they have a plug Excalibur reads for the Rich and Shameless documentary series TNT is producing. This one is about Martin Shkreli and the Wu-Tang Clan, which I actually legitimately don't know about. But in the last few weeks, they were talking about a Girls Gone Wild Rich and Shameless one, which I guess, I don't know the details of that either, but it doesn't take a whole lot of imagination to figure out what the darkness for Girls Gone Wild is. So so they have some good back and forth during this match. It's like fine, pretty cool heat back and forth. It's good, like two guys who just don't like each other fighting. It's not fancy, it's a little sloppy. It's really good. Jericho goes for the one-handed bulldog, but gets thrown into the corner on his penis. Which I don't know what that means, rating my note on it. Oh, I think he ended up like straddling the middle turnbuckle. Okay, I remember now. Santana hits the three amigos, which I want to take this as a quick opportunity to talk shit on JBL. I know it's been super long, but I was playing the WWE 2K22 and the showcase about Rey Mysterio. And since none of Rey Mysterio's great matches were in the WWE, one of the featured ones is his match with JBL. And JBL, to get heel heat, does the three amigos, and then Eddie shuffles, and it's just like the worst version of that. Like, Eddie and Santana are good wrestlers. So, when they do it, it looks nice and like crisp and like, like two men who are good at their craft, and JBL is just such a piece of shit. he can't like properly like you could tell it just like winded him way more than he thought it would be. Oh, it's great. We have some really good, actually good insight from JR about how frustration can make you lose focus, which is what was actually going on. So it was a good call from JR. Jericho locks in the walls, and Santana makes it to the ropes, but Jericho thinks he got a tap out for some reason. So then he gets, rolled up. Cannonball senton in the corner, but Matt Menard gets on the apron, distracting Aubrey Edwards from the low blow, then the Judas effect for the pin. The Jericho Appreciation Society immediately swarm Ortiz. Like, it's a great, like, it's clear that, like, in their head, in the kayfabe of the show, they were like, all right, as soon as the bell rings, we're going to jump Ortiz, because we can't do it during the match, because then we'll get kicked out. The crowd chants for Eddie Kingston, but commentary says that he's not there. So Jericho hits Ortiz with the bat, and the Jericho Appreciation Society stand tall. I've really been enjoying the Jericho Appreciation Society bit. Like, I know it's like a parody of the attitude of like this WWE's sports entertainment thing, and I try to not have that type of negativity in my life. So but I've been enjoying it. Like it's like worth a good chuckle. Like I said, I really love the for over 8 weeks we like thing because I really distinctly remember that. Like it's like the old intro for like WWE shows where they would go like for over 50 years, and I don't know. It makes me laugh, and that's what's important. Samoa Joe cuts a fantastic promo on Jay Lethal.
Oh, Jay Lethal. You're out here making challenges, but challenges are the territory of brave men. Is that what you are, Jay? Are you a brave man? Allow me to give you something to think about, to be brave for. This Friday at Rampage, I am coming for you.
Just absolutely talking mad shit. I really love it. Next, we have the Gun Club interrupting the Acclaim and offer gifts. The Acclaim open them up to reveal scissors, and they all really scissor, which seems like they're down with each other. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. I really don't know what is going on here. I guess the Gun Club and the Acclaimed are now allies, but allies against what exactly? I mean, none of them are really in like angles as far as I can recall. But like, they must be. I guess that kind of speaks to how not that important they are in the grand scheme of this show, which is a shame. I really love the Acclaimed. Everybody loves the Acclaimed. Next, the Varsity Blondes are out to call out House of Black. Julia's eye has gotten sick. Like it's clear that whatever face paint affliction is going on with Malachi Black, that's starting to hit Julia pretty hard too. Pillman says he's been humbled by House of Black encounter that caused Julia Hart to go weird. They keep cutting to a football coach for some reason, and then we find out that coach was friends with Brian Pillman Sr. So I was like, oh, okay. They should have explained that before they kept cutting to him, but whatever. He said, attack each day with an enthusiasm unknown by mankind, which is a very dorky quote, and a very dorky thing to be inspired by, but alright. It says the House of Black hurt their enthusiasm, and they want to protect their group. So they call out the House of Black to get their honor back, I think. It's unclear how this would fix Julia. House of Black make the sickest entrance, as they tend to do. And I'm very glad that they ditched that dorky Kings of the Black Throne theme. Like, I truly did not get it. Is that song that Black had been walking out to when he was by himself was amazing. It was so sick. I actually kind of thought that black metal would never work for a wrestling entrance, and then here's Malachi Black like just proving me wrong. And then they get that awful Kings of the Black Throne theme, and I was like, oh, all right. Which like, hey, I'm not gonna talk too much shit, but it sounded like the person who made it, I think his name is Ruckus, heard that genre of music for the first time when he made that song. Fair enough, but it didn't translate. But the new House of Black theme rules. So they surround the Varsity Blondes for a second, and the Varsity Blondes sort of don't seem to know what to do. And kind of drop their guard, and then they just get the absolute shit kicked out of them. They lawn dart Garrison into Pillman, and then do like a corner cannonball, and then they corner Julia Hart. Julia looks real afraid of Black, which is cool because it's not been super like clear what exactly has been going on with her. Like she's been shown as utterly disinterested in what's been going on with the Varsity Blondes, but that doesn't mean she's turning evil or like going the House of Black's way, you know? Like she's still just like terrified of this person who put this immense trauma on her. Buddy, you know, kind of brings Julie out of the corner and is given a chair, and they expect Julia to hit Garrison with the chair. And the crowd chants for House of Black, and Julia lifts the chair up, and like she looks like she doesn't know what to do. And it's almost like pretty clear that like even if she does do it, and Garrison is like begging not to get hit, it's almost like even if she does do it, it's under such duress. It's definitely an interesting twist on what I thought was going to happen with this angle. I kind of read it as like, oh, you know, she's gonna turn into evil Julia and join the House of Black, but you know, it seems like that's just not necessarily the direction that she's, you know, her character is going in. She's kind of at a personal impasse, which is great. So she lowers the chair, and Black gets up in her face again and just like rips her eye patch off. And she like covers her eye and just like kind of curls up into a fetal position and just starts getting berated. When Death Triangle come to the rescue, House of Black run off as Julia cries in the ring, and House of Black doesn't seem to be too concerned. Things will develop, and I'm super excited to see where they go with this. Like I said, this is one of my favorite angles that they've been running in AEW, and I'm glad they kind of really gave it the time that it needed to have Julia get more and more disinterested and kind of sick looking to really make it pop. There was kind of a disappointment online that I was saying that she didn't join up with them right away, but I think that they told the story well, because this is really the first time, like, while they've been having Julia go through her personal character change, this is the first time she's seen Black on TV, at least, I guess. I mean, they could have walked across each other in catering. But this is the first time in the storyline that she's seen Black since the attack, I think. So, you know, it's been cool. So, it's been cool, and I think it is... I'm excited to see where the next turn is. The baddie section is backstage talking about how great they are, and they are great. I love Jade Cargill. She gets better every time she wrestles, and I'm excited to see what they do with Jade. Like, I think it's cool that they gave her like kind of a group, you know, to better solidify her in the angle, because even though she's undefeated, it feels like there's kind of a thing about how she's gonna be the like, I don't know, it's almost like I've been programmed to see wrestling a certain way, and it's like the longer her undefeated streak goes on, the more I'm like thinking, okay, they're gonna finally make her lose, and then she's just going to topple, like just completely disappear and lose every match from then on. And I don't know. I think AEW has earned the goodwill to not think like how they're not think that that's how they're going to do it. But man, they had the same people writing for WWE and even Impact for so long that I just feel like I hope our time does not get collectively wasted. Next match though, Owen Hart Foundation qualifier, Ray fucking Phoenix versus Dante fucking Martin. Ray was already out in the ring and Julia is still getting out. So let's fucking go. This is Ray's first match back in AEW since he got hurt a few months ago. My own notes get cut off. My notes are literally just, we start with a clean Brett. I cannot take notes for this. These two men are just amazing. Just literally just watch the match. Just go find the match. Watch it yourself. two of the best high flyers in the game. Fenix is amazing and hasn't lost a step, and every time Dante Martin is in the ring, I end up thinking to myself, just like, there's no way humans are supposed to do that. Fast-paced, high-flying style with some great choice technical stuff thrown in. Watch this fucking match. They hit a move that Excalibur can't even name. Both these guys are young wrestlers, but it's safe to say that Fenix has a higher global stock than Dante. And after Dante's career went askew when his brother got hurt again, Dante made the absolute most of his time in the ring with Fenix. Fenix wins and they hug, and goddamn, watch this match. Hands down, best match of the week on this show. Like, no contest. It's crazy. We get to see the men's bracket. And as you would expect, it's loaded with some guaranteed and potential bangers. For the first round, we get Ray Fenix versus Kyle O'Reilly, which is a real interesting mix of styles. O'Reilly is actually one of my favorite wrestlers ever, so of course I'm excited to see how he does. We get Samoa Joe versus a Joker entry that will be kept a surprise. Joe can definitely still go, and he's shown from his previous matches, and definitely from his match with Minoru Suzuki, that he still has it. Like, I'm excited to see where he goes. I'm hoping it's nothing. I hope it's not like that he gets screwed out of it by Jay Lethal, because, you know, he's fucking around with Jay Lethal right now. But whoever he ends up with, I'm excited to see how that match goes. The other side of the bracket starts with Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin, whose name I have misspelled every time up to this point. That being said, I have complete confidence that this match will rule, as it's something of a low-key dream match. I know I said that Jeff, I don't know if he's got what it takes no more earlier, but I'm hoping that they can pull it out where they'll have Darby do the more dangerous half of the match, which is, you know, kind of like, or like one of the best spot wrestlers, I guess I'll say, of the last 20 years, facing the guy who's going to be the best spot wrestler for the next 20. So hopefully that match will be cool. Then we have Adam Cole versus Dax Harwood. Come on. We have the ultimate Shawn Michaels guy versus the ultimate Bret Hart guy. Like, there's no way this match won't bang. There's no way. But that's the bracket. I don't have a clear choice for the overall winner. That'll probably depend on who the Joker is. But up and down, these brackets will hopefully rule. Like, I'm real excited to see how this tournament plays out. I hope that the Joker is someone like Andrade or Miro, because they are awesome, and I really want to see both of them go up against Samoa Joe. I actually don't even remember if Andrade has like lost a qualifying match. Like, did he lose it to Darby? I have no fucking memory of that. But it would make storyline sense if he just bought his way into the tournament. So that's all the justification I would need. While we're on the subject, though, of the Owen Hart tournaments, much talk is made about how the women's division needs more spotlight. And I wholeheartedly agree with this, considering the women's qualifiers started a couple of weeks before the men's, but we don't even have a full women's bracket at this point. Like, we only got the full women's bracket at the end of the Rampage episode we're going to talk about. So, but like, we have like the complete men's bracket already. So hopefully they're going to improve on it. Sting and Darby Allin talk about facing Jeff in the first round. Say it's going to be a special night, and damn right it will. Thunder Rosa comes out and talks about success and failure. She fought hard to defend the title against Nyla Rose, but she's carried the weight of the women's division and hard work she put into becoming champion and became the cornerstone of the division. She talks about driving up the Californias. She talks about driving up the California coast, hell yeah, to see one wrestler who happens to be the number one contender. Serena Deeb comes out and says she respects Rosa and believes she's earned everything she has. Rosa says being champ means she's the best. Serena says everyone knows, but doesn't want to say that she's in a class of her own. It's time she becomes the champion. She threatens Rosa with the shortest world title reign in AEW history, and the match is set for Double or Nothing. I kind of wish there was more storyline going on for this match, but I get that they both finished up their big angles. Particularly Deeb, because she just had that crazy rivalry with Hikaru Shida, and like literally like that ended last week, so it kind of makes sense how we have nothing super special going on for the women's title match, which is appropriate because we just talked about how they don't focus on it enough. John Silver promo.
CM Punk, you want to dance with the meat man, huh? Next week is me versus you, mano a mano, in my hometown of Long Island, New York. You know why they call me the meat man? Because of these humongous sirloin steaks right here. Next week, me and you, let's freaking go!
I really like John Silver. I think he's a great wrestler with a great look and is like just really great at just being a bizarre human. He's going to face Punk in Long Island next week. And I wonder if Punk is going to lean heel like he did last time they were in Long Island. It would be interesting, like if just both he and Hangman kind of try to be the heel of the match against each other. Because, you know, last time they were in Long Island, Punk was facing MJF, and even fucking MJF gets cheered in Long Island. So, you know, I wonder how if they're going to make that work. It's an interesting dynamic leading into the match. Main event time, Ring of Honor, Undisputed, World Championship match. Mercedes Martinez versus Deonna Purrazzo for the Undisputed World Championship. Fuck. I was looking forward to this match because I've never actually seen Deonna Purrazzo wrestle. But they just really nailed it, you know? This was a really good match. I think it was a little short, but, you know, TV time remaining and all that. I like that they bring the Ring of Honor announcer in for the Ring of Honor matches, but the Code of Honor was not honored, and I hope that they fix this for next time. I hope both women actually had to pay a huge fine. The Ring of Honor women's title looks like shit. Now, to be fair, the men's Ring of Honor world title looked like shit when it was that design too. So I really hope that they make a new belt, especially now that they've done the double belt thing, where she's like the undisputed champion. I really hope that they make a classic style aesthetic, like how they have the men's world and the tag and the pure titles. And I hope the TV title gets an upgrade too, because that belt also looks like shit. I don't know what they were doing with that last run of designs for the Ring of Honor belts, but good lord. I would never fight someone for something that looked like that. But this was a great match. Lots of great arm work from Deonna. Like I said, this was the first time I ever seen her wrestle, but she's really good. I'm excited to see more of her. And hopefully they bring her in for more Ring of Honor matches for whatever that division ends up looking like. Great stuff. They come back from picture in picture with a 17 count, which I forgot Ring of Honor did the 20 count. But they both make it back into the ring. Mercedes goes for the Romero special, but puts in a Dragon Sleeper, and Deonna taps out. This result was a touch predictable because so far every Ring of Honor belt has gone to an AEW affiliate, but this was still very good. Almost to the point where it was unfair. Like if it wasn't for fucking It was actually almost unfair because this would have been match of the night if it wasn't for Ray Fenix versus Dante Martin. The Code of Honor is recognized at the end as Mercedes celebrates with the belts, and JR is unable to say the special start time of Dynamite as we go off the air.
I'm Jim Ross saying thank you very much for inviting us into your home, and we'll see you Friday night, special start time.
Now, this was a good episode of Dynamite. Like, looking at all my notes, like, you know, things were moving, crowd was hot, matches were really good for the most part. Like I said, the Bobby Fish versus Jeff Hardy match was a little weak. I think both guys are a little, but you know, I think Bobby Fish has the advantage of working like alongside much younger talent to balance that out, but Jeff, you know, doesn't really have that in his bag, you know, like, because Matt Hardy is also a little spent, but you know, hopefully it's fine. But definitely go out of your way to watch Ray Fenix versus Dante Martin. Jesus Christ. Finally, we have Rampage. I like Tony Storm's music. It sounds like a metal Heart song. Heart rules, and I'm super into them. Jericho hypes up Lars Fredrickson because he hasn't spoken yet and doesn't have anything to say.
Gotta say too, Ruby Soho's themed music, amazing by my friend Lars Fredrickson. Great stuff to hype the crowd up and give her a little bit extra edge here. Tony Storm is in the ring right now with Jamie Hayter.
There's some great back and forth. Everybody gets their good shit in. There's a part I really liked where the illegal partners kept running it, or started to run in and break things up for the other team. Or for their team, and like, you know, like preventing the other person to make moves and stuff while the ref wasn't looking. It was a really good match, you know. Baker gets Alabama slammed into Jamie Hayter, and that was really cool. Things break down, and Storm O'Connor rolls Britt Baker and gets the pin. I think it's, you know, kind of cool that they had that much faith in Tony Storm to pin the former women's world champion. Yes, Soho and Storm celebrate outside as Hayter and Baker argue a little bit. Not like super bad, but they're like, oh, what was up with that? Hopefully we see them in the tournament. I'm sort of interested in seeing how that plays out. Eddie Kingston calls the commentary team directly. Kingston is such a great promo that it would just be doing him a disservice. In fact, the format of me playing these promos is directly a result of this promo. Like, it's just a disservice of if I just talk about what the promos are instead of just playing them. So here you go.
Who is it?
It is none other than the Mad King himself,
Yeah,
Eddie Kingston.
Excalibur, shut up. I don't care. They gotta do a job. Shut up. I don't care. Hey, Chris, you know who this is. And listen to me, understand something. I've been with a woman, my beautiful wife, for 20 years. She's seen me beat up. She's seen me in a million pieces. And she's always been able to put me together. But when I walked in that house, and the look on her face was fear, and she started crying, that's good. Yeah, laugh it up now, my man. That looks beautiful, dog. That looks great. My wife was crying. That will be burned in my soul, Chris, forever. This is no longer about pro wrestling. This is no longer about nice little funny things that we can put on TV. All I care about is making you feel the fear and the pain she has felt. Jericho, Chris, I'm gonna hurt you really bad, and it's gonna be for her.
And it's worth noting, too, that Jericho looks really concerned the whole time. Like, it's great. I had thought that their program was kind of done. And I really appreciated the slow burn. Whereas, like, we started off with two guys who kind of just were more annoyed with each other's existence. And now it's just, like, kind of a full-blown hatred. It's really good stuff. Nice is angry that he has to force himself on the show and demands a match against Danhausen as revenge for Hook and Danhausen driving them off last week. And I like that he makes it sound like he's going to go after Hook, but then chickens out and picks the seemingly weaker opponent of Danhausen. I thought that was like a good move. Like I said, I like Tony Nese. I just think he's like weirdly boring. So hopefully this team up with Smart Mark Sterling will make him a lot more interesting. And I think it has already started to make him more interesting. That being said, I want to talk about Danhausen for a second. Actually, we'll talk about Danhausen after the next segment. Fuck. Hook versus JD Drake. Hook is so cool and so handsome. And he is still just that as this show happens. There's a really great spot where in this like 2-minute match, there's a great spot where Drake pie faces and chops Hook, and then Hook goes like, "Oh, that's what you got? Give me another chop." And then when Drake goes to give him another chop, Hook headbutts Drake's hand, which is the most absurd shit, but I love it. There's this funny thing where Taz is just like a very bizarre announcer, generally speaking, but he always becomes the best announcer in the world during Hook matches.
Never seen that before.
Jab step. Nice Kouchi Makakomi right there.
A few suplexes and the red drum, and Hook gets the tap. Danhausen comes out with a microphone complimenting his match. I like this. I like that it was there was kind of a turn with this feud where, Danhausen and Hook are not getting along. Like, what's going to happen when they have a match? And then now it's kind of turned into like Hook and Danhausen probably going to have to team up now. It's really cool. So Danhausen leaves a bag of chips for Hook as a sign of goodwill and slunks off, and Hook looks annoyed and slunks off too, and Hook is so fucking cool. So here's the thing. It's like I mentioned, I was not around for the COVID era of wrestling, and I was also very tuned out of most of wrestling for a little while before that too. So I've never seen Danhausen wrestle. Like, it's really weird, probably, but I don't get him. So, like, the storyline is that Danhausen tries to curse Hook, but it's not working. And is that, like, the kayfabe of Danhausen? Like, he tries to curse people, but it doesn't work, generally speaking? Or is that just like, is Hook just like burying the gimmick? Like, I truly don't get it. Either way, crowd loves it, so I'm excited to see, however this plays out. Crowd chants Hookhausen, and Danhausen takes credit for that idea, and I thought that was funny. Next, FTR interview. Cash puts over Dax very hard at the beginning, and I'm really into that. Like, honestly, like, that's a great format. Like, that's a great way to turn things. Like, I feel like normally whenever they have like the tag team facing off against each other in a match, they kind of do that to plant the seeds of doubt, and no, just FTR is like, Cash is like, yeah, I lost to the best wrestler in the world. Like, I don't have any shame in that. Like, I always knew Dax was the best wrestler in the world. Like, that rules. I fucking love FTR. They're great. Next, we have Yuka Sakazaki versus Rio. Final match to determine the Owen Hart Foundation women's brackets. Yuka's music is an obnoxious hyperpop song that makes Rio's music sound almost tolerable. This is Rio's return, at least in America, after her injury at Battle of the Belts in January. We start off with some fancy trading of a wrist lock, and technical stuff before we get into a face-off. And one thing that is legitimately nice is Jericho talks about how he's happy they get to talk about Owen Hart so much. Legitimately, it's a very nice thing. This match, though, is very good. Lots of back and forth. Both women are very smooth. I even write in my notes and just this match is very good so far. It's like the fourth note in the thing. At one point, Yuka hits a cannonball senton from the top rope to the outside, and Rio kept like holding her face, and it was like really weird. It's like she hurt her face, like her cheekbone, and I hope she's okay. Rio works over the knee with some really tightly cranked toe holds. Before locking in this like crazy leg hold that I've never seen before. It's almost like a really crunched in figure 4 / Indian deathlock thing. It's really awesome, but I'm not familiar with Joshi, to be honest, so maybe that's like a regular Joshi hold that she does all the time, but I've never seen it before and I thought it was rad. Rio gets back up and seriously checks her knee, and it was very cool. I love when wrestlers like kind of check themselves a little bit, like, you know, like get the blood back flowing spots. Like that's like one of my favorite things. Yuka hits a crazy Northern Lights and goes for a splash in the middle of the top rope, which is also a cool thing. It wasn't a springboard, but it was just like a top rope move done from the middle of the rope. And I thought that was cool as hell. Yuka does like this, like a top rope flatliner, and it looked like just insane. Like it looked like it was gonna fuck up both of them, and it looked like it fucked both of them up, and it was just really cool. They start to trade elbows in the middle of the ring, but Rio ducks a big one and gets an inside cradle for the win. This match was really good. Like, I thought it was great. It felt like a real contest between two just insanely tough people. Rio at the end looked like she just like was happy just to make it out alive. Like it was really good. I only found out recently that Rio is the 9-year-old girl who Kenny Omega famously wrestled in 2009 or whenever. And I remember thinking like, oh, she's going to be a fucking great wrestler when she grows up. And god damn it, she is. We get to see the women's bracket finally. Okay, so on one side we have Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter. Now this is the match that they've kind of been building up the whole pre-tournament time. So, that should be good. Like it's built on their previous rivalries. I think that'll be cool. Britt Baker versus the Joker spot. Now for this, I have no fucking idea who this could possibly be. Like I just have like no, like it's not even like I have a guess. Like you know, with like the men's tournament, I'm like, oh, I hope it's Miro. I legitimately don't know. But Britt Baker is a good wrestler, and I'm sure they're going to find somebody who is also very good, so it'll be exciting to see. Rio versus Ruby Soho on the other side of the bracket. That should fucking rule. Both insanely talented wrestlers. Like, I'm excited to see that. And then Red Velvet versus Hikaru Shida. I'm not going to lie. Hikaru Shida is a fucking amazing wrestler, and Red Velvet is a fucking okay wrestler. But I'm excited to see, you know, where that takes them and how that goes. We get a promo from Shawn Spears.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Well done, Wardlow. I say your name now because I need you to listen. In the midst of being your accountability buddy and from time to time your mentor, I seem to have given you this false sense of invincibility. And what's ridiculous is that you actually believe it. But even Superman had kryptonite. Now, you know me, Wardlow. I do very bad things for a good reason. I don't align myself with the guy who has the deepest pockets. I align myself with the guy who has the darkest of intentions. I made you feel 50 feet tall. I made you feel like a giant, and since then, you have put down every other giant that we have put in front of you. So now you, Wardlow, you stand on top of the mountain, the #1 big man, the #1 giant in this industry. Well, Superman, Wardlow the Giant, here comes Kryptonite.
Good shit. Shawn Spears is a good promo. Next, we have the Men of the Year with a promo inside the ring. Dan Lambert talks shit about being from Baltimore the way only he can by saying he's going to say he's from Tampa from now on. Interestingly, you can tell this specifically bothers Scorpio Sky for some reason. Ethan Page says he refuses to wrestle Sammy because he doesn't want his daughter to see him and Ty kiss on TV, which is kind of weird. But then Kaz comes out and says he doesn't care about all that and asks for a shot at the TNT title that Sky promised him. Ethan pops in and is jealous of the old partner.
I'm very glad you're dressed for a funeral, Frankie. Because SCU is dead, dude! Okay.
Classic, like, you know, the new boyfriend is jealous of the ex-boyfriend stuff. Sky promises that he's going to be a fighting, dominant champion and insults Ty Conti. Says Dan has to put his interim title away and will live up to his word and promises Kaz his match. That's cool. Like, that's going to be great. I'm into it. Jungle Boy comes out to confront Ricky Starks about their FTW title match, but they just immediately start fighting for some reason. Probably at the behest of Christian when I think about it. Jungle Boy poses with the FTW title and the crowd cheers. And, you know, Jungle Boy and Ricky Starks are two, like, amazing young talent. So, you know, that match is going to fucking rule. I'm kind of interested in a world where Ricky Starks drops the FTW title and then he and Powerhouse Hobbs win the tag titles. I just think that would be more interesting than Ricky continuing to have the FTW title. And then I kind of want to see Taz just go like, oh, well, fucking, he's not the real FTW champion, but my boy's got the tag belts, so whatever. And then a member of Team Taz will win it back. And he's like, I told you that the FTW title was the top belt. I think it'll be funny. Konosuke Takeshita versus Jay Lethal. Pre-match promo. Takeshita simply says that he respects Jay Lethal, that he isn't afraid.
I respect Jerry-san. Not afraid.
Lethal says he'll give him a reason to be afraid after Sanjay Dutt points out Santam Singh for some reason. Lethal disparages Joe, and then we get the line from Mark Henry.
Well, it looked like there's been enough talk. It's time for the main event.
Why don't they have a video of Takeshita? How come he doesn't have a graphic? That's weird. Takeshita had like a real good match with Brandon Cutler. He had that really good match with Rhett Titus. Like, they could have cut together some good shit out of that and just, you know, slapped his name in a font. But it's fine. We get a quick recap of his time in AEW, and Excalibur puts him over as a top DDT star. We get back and forth grappling, and both men are exquisitely good at this part. Like, smooth transitions from grappling to wrist locks to headlocks to ankle picks. We get a bunch of really good knee work from Lethal. Like, Lethal works Takeshita's leg the whole match, and it's just really good. Jay Lethal, I think, like, it's one of those things where, like, the window on him being like a top guy is closed, but he's like very good. He's like kind of the Tony Nese to me, but like way older. Where, like, I think like his style that makes him interesting is very good, but I'm not super like interested in him, if that makes any sense. Takeshita hits an incredibly high angle dive. Oh, at one point, Lethal goes for the lethal injection, and Takeshita hits him with a sliding drop kick while Lethal is doing the handspring. Like, just really good shit. Takeshita hits a lariat, like a straight up, like reel back and swing forward lariat on the top rope. Like it's just like the craziest thing. Taz goes back into being the weirdest commentator in the world.
Super close right there. The frame buster was awesome. Sanjay's going crazy out there with that Ticonderoga in his ear. That's a pencil for you guys. Pencil.
Spanish for pencil?
No, it's a fancy brand. That's a whole nother story.
Then Takeshita counters another lethal injection. It's a huge lariat and jumping knee, but Dutt distracts the ref from the pin. But Lethal's like down for like 10 seconds. It's kind of nuts. I kind of am from the kayfabe perspective that in those instances, because it takes a bunch of effort to kick out. And like they talk about that all the time, where it's like, all right, you're pinning them not to beat them necessarily, because you know that they're not necessarily like beat, but they have to expend a bunch of energy to kick out. Like instances of that, I don't think it's like, oh, like Takeshita pinned Lethal for 10 seconds. I think Lethal knows that even though he's getting pinned, the referee isn't counting, so he's not going to bother with, like, he's going to save up some of it, his energy, you know, so that he doesn't use so much of it to kick out. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but that's kind of the way I see it. This match is real good, though. Both men are smooth as butter and had some great back and forth hold counter holding, which is like my favorite shit. This would have been match of the show, but I think Rio versus Yuko was like a little bit better. And in fact, now that I'm putting myself on the spot, I'm going to say Rio versus Yuko was the match of the night for this show. Like just that, nothing could touch that. The match ends when Takeshita kicks out of a roll up, but Lethal goes straight into a lethal injection. Just like smooth as butter. Like it was like he literally used the force of Takeshita pushing him off to give himself momentum for the handspring. Like it just so fucking good. Lethal and Singh start putting the boots to Takeshita medium style, and the best friends come out for revenge from last week. Singh takes Trent and Chuck T out, but Orange Cassidy stares him down. He goes for the hand in the pockets, but jumps down, and Samoa Joe comes out with a pipe. Security holds Joe back, which is great job getting Joe, but you probably should have gone after Singh and Dutt earlier, or maybe even the best friends, for that matter. Anyway, security is way too late as we go off the air. This was a pretty good week for AEW. Like, I think, like, a bunch of solid matches. Match of the week, hands down, Rey Fenix versus Dante Martin. I can't talk enough about how much I love that fucking match. Just really good. I'm excited to see where we go from here. And I have sort of where we go from here. We can talk about the card coming up. So, the matches that were announced for Dynamite between Dynamite and Rampage, as read by Excalibur, not including anything that got announced online, but just the stuff that was on the show. We get Darby Allin versus Jeff Hardy and Adam Cole versus Dax Harwood for the Owen Hart Foundation men's quarterfinals. The MJF Wardlow contract signing. For the FTW Championship, Jungle Boy versus Ricky Starks. CM Punk versus John Silver. The Jericho Appreciation Society victory speech, which even Excalibur, when he was reading the promo, was like, okay, which I thought was great. And Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter for the Owen Hart Foundation Women's quarterfinal. And that's Dynamite. And then for Rampage, we got Frankie Kazarian versus Scorpio Sky for the TNT title, and Rio versus Ruby Soho for the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament. I'm real excited to see that, and I'm really glad that you guys joined me for this. Like, this was cool. I'm glad I got to talk about some wrestling. I really like it. I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm excited to see Death Triangle versus House of Black. Where that goes. I'm excited to see basically like all of the matches from the Owen Hart Foundation men and women's tournaments. And most importantly, I'm excited to see you next week when we have the next episode of Return of the Mark. Until then, I am technically Rudo, or just Russell if you want. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a good rest of the week. And